Syobon Action, also called Shobon No Action, also called Cat Mario, is a rage game from the mid-2000s. There's actually a lot to analyze here. I really love this game, but that's not what this video is about. No, watch what happens when I press 0 on the title screen. This is weird, right? Like, it almost looks like the levels are, like, corrupted. It's kind of like those old games where you get them, like, treat code as data and the level will just, like, shit itself. But no, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. This is the mystery dungeon, or sometimes it's also called the magic dungeon. You could also just call it random mode if you're boring. There's a lot of interesting stuff with this mode, though. At first glance, everything just looks completely random. No, this is actually modeled after whatever the underlying level is that you're actually playing. It's like you can see here I'm on level 1, so you still have this pipe with the guy that shoots out of it. You still have these falling guys at the end. The checkpoint's still in the same spot, but obviously stuff is still really fucked up. There's a lot of tiles here that you see that you don't normally see in the game. However, I think the most interesting one is the pink note block. To show you what the pink note block normally does, let's go to level 3 in the base game. Here there's this trap in this pit, where instead of just killing you, there's an invisible pink note block which sends you flying into the sky, into this cloud subworld with a bunch of coins that don't do anything. Then finally you go through the pipe and it just takes you to an invisible cloud that just kills you. Level 1 doesn't have a subworld, so if you hit a pink note block, it takes you to like a glitched version of the same level, except all of the traps are removed, as well as a bunch of other stuff as well. So like this level's actually pretty difficult to beat in the mystery dungeon. I was eventually able to do it, but it's still pretty difficult. But if you go into a glitched subworld, it becomes easy. Like here, I hit a pink note block and I was able to beat the level first try. Or, shit, I was able to beat the level second try. There's a lot more interesting stuff with pink note blocks, but I'll get to that later in the video. By the way, if you're wondering why I keep calling them pink note blocks instead of just note blocks, it's because white note blocks also exist, and they just like make you bounce like normal. Anyway, one of the things I really like about the mystery dungeon is how it shows how different entities interact with each other and some of the interesting mechanics of the game. Like, it's pretty common that you'll see robots just flinging poison mushrooms away. Poison mushrooms in general are kind of fun, at least for some definition of the word fun. It's also possible to get into a soft lock with these robots, where they just keep throwing you forever. Here I was able to get into a soft lock with the flagpole itself. Alright, we're on the level 2, and let's go back to the pink note block now, and I want to show you how it actually works. So there's this variable here, STC, and this represents the substage that you're currently in. So normally it's 0, if you go down a pipe, it increments by 1. If you hit one of these pink note blocks, it increments by 5. And if you're in a glitched subworld, it just goes after like whatever subworld you were previously in. So you can see here, I was in the overworld before actually going underground. Because of that, the glitched subworld is just going to be in the overworld. It's also interesting how normally the screen doesn't scroll, but if you go into a glitched subworld, then it does scroll. Eventually it stops scrolling. However, if you cheat, you'd actually see that stuff continues to generate even past the part where it stops spawning. In fact, it'll keep generating infinitely. Alright, enough of that, let's go into the actual level. Now, level 2 is actually really fucked up. It's because of these fucking falling platforms right here. In the base game, if you know that these exist, for a skilled player, it's actually not that difficult to get past these. There's even multiple ways to do it. But in the mystery dungeon, you're so dependent on luck for if it's even possible to get past these, and even then, it's really fucking hard to execute. And then even after you execute that, there's even more stuff after, like this pipe that shoots out this ball. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just hit a pink note block underground? It'll take you to a glitched subworld that gets rid of these falling platforms. And that actually works. Yeah, and the pipe is gone too, so this is actually pretty easy. So we can just go ahead and beat the level here, and, fuck, what's going on? Yeah, you see that right there? That's a pipe. Well, like, it's supposed to be a pipe, but you can't go through it. Yeah, it's actually not possible to get past this in the glitched subworld, so you have no option but to go through it normally. So you're kind of soft-locked. Kind of. Even previous times where I've said you're soft-locked, you can always just press O to kill yourself. And interestingly, whenever STC is greater than or equal to 5, and you press O to kill yourself, it'll just reset STC back to 0. So no matter what, if you're in a glitched subworld, it's always possible to just press O and kill yourself and just get out of it and just get back to the regular level. Eventually, I was able to beat the level normally. Interestingly, the end of the level in the base game has this like fake flagpole that spawns at the end, and this doesn't show up in the mystery dungeon. I would have expected this to be just like a part of the level that's kept, but no, it's just not here. It's interesting. Okay, so how did I not die here? So the flagpole block doesn't end when you reach the castle. It's actually based on a timer. And that timer perfectly coincides normally with when you reach the castle. However, here, I just narrowly don't hit the death barrier by the time the timer expires, and so I'm able to progress. Here's another example where I'm not even able to get to the castle at all because I'm blocked. But even so, I'm still able to beat the level because the timer runs out. Now before we move on, I do want to show you the code which governs the mystery dungeon. It's not going to be super in-depth, and like you'll see why. Open Syobon Action is the single most dogshit codebase I've ever had the displeasure of working in, and I don't say that lightly. Everything is so cryptically named, you have all these constants, you have no idea what they fucking do. It's just a complete fucking mess to navigate. But I'm making it work though. Anyways, eventually I found out that this here is where the mystery dungeon is. See this variable over? See, if that's 1, then the mystery dungeon's active. And you can actually see this in-game on the debug screen on page 6. You can change the value of over in real time and just toggle the mystery dungeon. It's kind of cool. Anyways, like, a lot of the stuff is terse enough that even I haven't fully grasped it yet. But you can see it's generating a lot of random numbers for tiles and shit. Right here, you can see that it'll sometimes change the color of the stage, but usually not. In this code right here, we'll put a yellow platform underneath the player whenever you spawn. So that way, even if there is no ground beneath you, you don't just like plummet to your death. Alright, we're on to level 3. Level 3 is interesting because it actually does have a subworld in the sky. And that invisible trap cloud that I talked about earlier, that doesn't spawn here. So once you go down the pipe back to the overworld, you don't die instantly, and you're able to just keep playing. So that's kind of neat. By the way, these pink note blocks can also spawn within the subworlds. And if you do that, STC will just keep climbing up and up and up. And much like the beginning of level 2, in the glitched versions of the cloud world, they also scroll. If we cheat and increment STC to something like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something, you can access the glitched subworld of the overworld. Normally, as far as I can tell, this isn't possible to access without cheating, but this also gets rid of all the traps and makes the level much, much easier to beat. By the way, if you're wondering how I'm able to cheat, I'm doing so with a fork of open syobon action I created, called Ultimate Syobon Action. I learned pretty recently that there's another fan-made game called Syobon Action Ultimate, so, like, fuck. And that one, like, predates mine, so I might end up changing the name of mine, I don't know. And Syobon Action Ultimate looks so cool, though. It looks, like, so much cooler than mine. It's like, god fucking damn it. Like, this looks fucking sick. It has a level editor, it has, like, all these new mechanics. Fuck. Anyways, currently because I'm lazy, there's no download links or anything. You have to compile it manually, which is kind of a pain because it relies on, like, legacy SDL. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to compile it yourself and try it out. It's pretty cool. Alright, we're almost at the end of World 1. We're on the level 4. Now, level 4 is actually, hello. You're just gonna let that thing hang, huh? I mean, it's impressive how you're able to just, like... anyway, level 4 is actually not that bad. It's pretty easy to just climb up and get to the top, and you can just kind of run and skip past the whole level. Ooh, pink note block. Unfortunately, in the glitch subworld, it's not possible to beat the level. The screen just stops scrolling after a while. The trigger, which normally lets you beat the game and move on to World 2, just doesn't exist here. God, fine, I'll beat it normally. By the way, you might have seen these sword tiles around here, and to show you what those do, let me show you what level 4 normally looks like in the base game. So here you can see there's like 2 endings. If you go here, then you get the fake ending, which just plays the credits. However, if you get this robot to fling you to the top of the stage, then you can skip that and get to the real ending here. The real ending takes you to World 2. Now, the trigger for the real ending is just part of this level, so this you can always get to. However, swords are just normal tiles, interestingly, so they spawn fucking everywhere. You might think these let you just beat the game early, and like, kind of, but normally they just kill you. They're normally just a death trap. For one, the screen scrolls much faster than you walk, and if you go too far off the screen, then it'll just kill you. But even if you're able to keep up with the scrolling, you can also just like die normally. You just fall into a pit or get killed by an enemy. Getting the right level geometry that even lets you beat the game with this is really fucking difficult. It took me a really long time, but eventually I was able to get it. Check this shit out. Hell yeah. Once you hit the sword, it just plays the credits and just kicks you back to the title screen. Ooh, an encoding error. Haven't gotten around to fixing that yet. You know, maybe I won't fix it. It's kind of funny, actually. Speaking of things ending, this video's over now. I don't normally make videos like this. You can subscribe if you want, or don't.